What's up, everybody? I'm SS Multiverse, and today you're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 15. And there's just too much important information of this manga chapter to just not make a video about. Three really important things happen that I really wanted to talk about that the anime has not included yet, which I feel like they are going to eventually, but these are things that happen that are they just change the whole dynamic of how we're viewing DBZ Super right now and how we view the gods in it. So the first thing that happened is probably the least important, but Trunks at Super Saiyan 2 was on par with Super Saiyan 3 Goku. They said Goku still had a slight edge, but I feel like this changes the way we view Trunks as a fighter. It's rather, I feel like people over-exaggerate Goku's power in his Super Saiyan 1, 2, or 3 forms, or they underrated Trunks' power. I found that very interesting, and maybe someday I'll make a separate video about it, but I also want people to remember before they say Trunks is way overpowered and he has no way he should be able to fight Goku since acquiring his god form, remember this. Trunks is the only person left in his timeline. He has more motivation to train than any other Z fighter right now currently. The Earth was under a lot of peace for a lot of years, whereas Trunks' timeline has always been bleak. He knows he's the only survivor left. And so that gives somebody a lot of motivation to train. And in my book, I feel like it kind of makes sense that he's achieved a level that appears to have even surpassed Gohan and a lot of other the Z fighters. Another thing that was brought up in this chapter is that the Supreme Kai from Trunks' timeline died, which was never said earlier. And that's just sad to hear. I'm like a big Supreme Kai fan, so I was just like, no. But another thing that was revealed that was even more interesting today is that the Supreme Kais and the Gods of Destruction are linked together in such a way that if one dies, the other goes with it. The link between the Gods of Creation and the Gods of Destruction is very similar to Piccolo and Kami, whereas if Kami dies, for example, Piccolo will fade with them. I know they fused together, so that's no longer the case, but it happened in the fight with Nappa, so that's kind of a good way how to picture this. I think it's safe to assume that all of the Supreme Kais would have to die in order for the God of Destruction to die, or in our universe in DBZ, Beerus. But as you know, the other 4 Supreme Kais were already killed by Majin Buu, so if the Supreme Kai fell as well, which they said he died in the fight with Dabura and Babidi, that means all 5 of the Supreme Kais are now gone, which would erase Beerus from existence. Now that raises a lot of questions, because can they do this in the current timeline? Does that mean Goku could literally, not that he would, but could Goku just go to the Supreme Kai, kill him if like Beerus is going on a rampage or something like that, and then Beerus would die with them? And I would have to say that as of right now in the manga that yes, Goku could do that. So I feel like that's going to always be an option if Beerus ever goes crazy and starts causing mass destruction and Goku has to stop him, which I don't see at this point. I don't see Beerus being that type of villain. I don't even think that's in his character, to be honest. But it is a helpful piece of information to know that Goku has that option in the back of his head from now on. Another thing is that there's not really any order in Trunks' timeline anymore. You don't have any Gods of Creation and you don't have any Gods of Destruction. So if a villain like Black Goku or another villain goes on some rampage, there's no gods to create new worlds. And as well as the worlds that need to be destroyed, they're still going to remain there because no Gods of Destruction. So that raises a new question. Do you think it's possible that a new God of Destruction was appointed in Trunks' timeline? It is a possibility. There's no question about that. I think it's unlikely it would have happened in this timeline in this amount of time, because if you think about how the gods work, they do things a lot slower than like humans or Goku and Vegeta and so on. Like they take just eons and eons to accomplish even the smallest attacks. Like Beerus has to take a nap. He's out for hundreds of years, or maybe even more at times, depending on how tired he is. A normal person would sleep about 10 hours. I feel like the appointing of a new God of Destruction would take a very long time. And just because that there isn't one for a couple years doesn't mean they're automatically going to appoint one instantly. There could be a new one, and that would be very interesting if there's a new God of Destruction from Trunks' timeline. But I'm saying that most likely there is not. Now, the last point I'm going to make is, what happened to Whis in Future's Trunks' timeline? He no longer has a God of Destruction to kind of look over. So I wonder what he's doing in that timeline. Maybe he's just kind of relaxing and hanging out at Beerus's home, his and Beerus's home, and waiting for a new god of destruction to be appointed to him so he can start training him. I feel like that's probably the most likely scenario, but who knows? We don't really know what he's doing, but I think it'd be interesting if maybe they showed what he was doing in Trunks' timeline. But to wrap things up here, let me know what you guys think of the god of destruction dying in Trunks' timeline, and what you think of the whole link thing between gods of destructions and gods of creation. Thanks for listening to this. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.